Hello, my name is Erica Brown. Welcome to my Culminating experience. Every child, every story, building a classroom of belonging. Introduction. From Louisville to Corpus Christi. I was born in Charleston, West Virginia, and raised mostly in Louisville, Kentucky. In 7th grade, we moved to Corpus Christi, Texas, a predominantly Latinx area. Surrounded by different cultures, I didn't initially notice that race or culture was absent from the curriculum. I thought diversity meant equity. It wasn't until later that I realized how education often ignores or distorts marginalized voices. This project tells the story of how I came to see education differently, how I've learned that equity requires intentionality, representation, and truth. Critical multicultural education is now my foundation for creating classrooms where all students belong. What is critical multicultural education? It's not just celebrating culture, it's confronting power and inequity. Critical multicultural education is not just about celebrating culture, it's about challenging systems. Sinsoy and D'Angelo describe it as a transformative approach that encourages educators to question how power and privilege influence schooling. Banks expands on this by emphasizing justice, equity, and developing students' critical consciousness. For me, this means moving beyond surface-level inclusion and asking whose voices are missing. As an educator, I must reimagine teaching practices, push against structural inequities, and ensure all students see their realities reflected and respected in the classroom. True multicultural education transforms both hearts and systems. The danger of a single story. One narrative prevents balance and well-rounded perspective. When I reflect on stories told in school, I often remember only one version, the mainstream one. Like the book To Kill a Mockingbird, for example. Adichie calls this the danger of a single story. Armstrong reminds us that stereotypes flatten identities, erasing the complexities of our students. As a student, I didn't realize the story I wasn't hearing. As a teacher, I understand that one narrative is never enough. Our students need multiple perspectives to see themselves and others fully. Education should be expansive, offering windows and mirrors. We must teach beyond the dominant narrative to challenge bias and honor lived experiences. Whiteness as the invisible norm. We can't teach inequity if we don't see the water we swim in. Growing up, I didn't realize that whiteness shaped the curriculum. I just accepted it. D'Angelo describes whiteness as the unspoken default in classrooms. It shapes what is taught and who is centered, often invisibly. The Teaching While White podcast helped me unpack how this norm excludes students of color. Recognizing this means confronting my own position and asking whose knowledge counts. To teach equitably, I must develop racial literacy and name what has long been unnamed. Equity begins with awareness and a willingness to disrupt the status quo, even when it's uncomfortable. This work is ongoing and necessary. Intersectionality in the classroom. Students' identities are complex and systems impact them differently. In classrooms, no student brings just one identity. Crenshaw's concept of intersectionality taught me that race, gender, class, and other identities overlap, shaping how students experience school. As a student, I didn't understand how these layers influenced learning or how systems responded to different needs. Grant and Zweier push educators to center identity politics in our work, to see students as whole people. Intersectionality helps me respond more thoughtfully, recognizing that support cannot be one size fits all. Equity demands we acknowledge and address the complexities of identity, so we don't unintentionally ignore the unique barriers some students face daily. Cultural wealth, not deficit. Our students bring brilliance. Let's honor it. When I started teaching, I realized how often schools framed students in terms of what they lacked. Yoso shifted my perspective with her theory of cultural wealth, showing how students bring invaluable knowledge, resilience, and strengths. Molly et al. Described these as funds of knowledge, the lived experiences students carried from their homes and communities. I've seen how students' stories, traditions, and languages enrich our classrooms. When we focus on deficits, we overlook brilliance. I now aim to teach from a place of abundance, seeing every student is capable, resourceful, and worthy of affirmation and high expectations. Culturally relevant and sustaining pedagogy. We must affirm students' identities and equip them to challenge injustice. Culturally relevant pedagogy, described by Latson Billings, taught me that teaching is about more than content. It's about connection. Students need to see themselves in what they learn and feel empowered to think critically. Paris extends this with culturally sustaining pedagogy, urging us not to just include students' identities, but to preserve and celebrate them. I want students to know their culture is an asset, not something to leave at the classroom door. My teaching must reflect their lives while preparing them to challenge injustice. To be relevant, teaching must be responsive, sustaining, and rooted in love. Representation in curriculum. Who gets seen, heard, and valued? As a student, I always saw people who looked like me in textbooks. Armstrong and Banks helped me realize how representation shapes identity. When students never see themselves, they begin to question their worth. I now understand that a representative curriculum isn't just more inclusive, it's more truthful. We must tell stories from all communities, not just dominant ones. Representation also builds empathy. It helps students understand lives different from their own. I am committed to crafting lessons that reflect varied voices, histories, and experiences. Every student deserves to feel seen, valued, and connected through what they learn. Language, identity, and power. Students' language practices are cultural tools, not errors. Language is deeply personal. Lyescott showed me that code switching, moving between dialects or languages, is not a weakness, but a strength. Growing up, I watched classmates shift between languages at school and home. Sometimes those shifts were corrected or shamed. Paris helped me understand that honoring linguistic diversity affirms identity. I want students to know their voices matter, however they speak. This means challenging standard language ideologies that label some ways of speaking as wrong. Language carries culture, family, and power. As an educator, I will value all forms of expression and advocate for classrooms that affirm multilingualism and voice. Learning from the community. Families and communities are our co-teachers. When I began working in classrooms, I noticed how eager families were to contribute, bringing homemade food for celebrations, volunteering, or sharing personal stories. Molly et al. And Yoso taught me to see these moments as more than kind gestures. They are powerful examples of community knowledge. Families are educators too, bringing cultural, social, and navigational capital that can deeply enrich learning. I've learned that true partnership means valuing what students bring from home and building bridges between school and community. I want to create a space where families feel seen, heard, and central to the educational experience. Teaching with love and justice. Equity work is emotional, urgent, and unfinished. I didn't always view teaching as activism, but my journey has taught me that love and justice must be central to my practice. Sensei and D'Angelo and Learning for Justice helped me understand that education is not neutral. It either upholds or challenges inequity. Teaching is more than delivering content or managing behavior. It's about creating a classroom where every student feels seen, valued, and safe. Love means showing up for students daily. Justice means challenging systems that harm them. Together, they guide how I plan, teach, and advocate with intention, care, and a commitment to equity. Every child, every story. Final reflection. Growing up in diverse communities, I didn't realize anything was missing from education. It felt normal. But now I know that equity means more than presence. It means power, voice, and recognition. Critical multicultural education has taught me to question, reflect, and act. My commitment is to center every student's identity, challenge systemic inequities, and uplift the stories that haven't always been told. Identity shapes how I teach. Community enriches how I learn. Equity is a daily promise. I will continue to reflect, disrupt, and teach with love. Every child deserves to be seen. Every story deserves to be heard. Today, I'm committed to practicing equity every day, letting my identity inform my teaching, honoring what students and communities know, and disrupting injustice with love and intentionality. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching my presentation, Every Child, Every Story. Here's a list of my references. Again, thank you so much for watching my culminating experience for CME 705. My name is Erica Brown.